how to make your own great tasting beer and save money doing it. That's the beer that I get. It's a very nice beer, right? So, and your cans will come with yeast and everything, right? And instructions. It is hard to get off. Man. Tear your fingernails. Right? So, you get your instructions. And you get your yeast. I'm going to open this can. I'm going to put it in that bucket. And I'm going to fill up the bucket with warm water, not too hot. The temperature in here, I just kind of know where to put the hot and cold water taps together to make it the right temperature. But you don't want it above, I think if you were 20 degrees, you'd be just fine. So that's Celsius. So I'm going to open this, put it in the thing, and we'll be right back. So when you get that poured in, put hot water in your can, get all the goodness out of there, and we'll be right back. So now that I got that put in there, and all the can is all cleaned up, I'm going to fill it up now. Okay, and like I said, I fills it up right almost to the top. That's my preference for the taste. You follow your 23 liters, whatever, until you know the taste that you like. Alright guys, we'll be right back. 26 by 6. That's too hot. Right? Keep a, you gotta have a thermometer as well. You can have one like this, or you know, the traditional one. I don't want to be over 23 maximum. So I'm going to use a little more cold to bring this down, alright? So, we're pretty close there. We're good to go there. For me, I know that I calculated it. It's pretty much for this malt, 8.7 grams per liter gives me 1% alcohol. So I'm going to go for the 3.5% range. So that tells me with the 31 liters that I make, 31 liters, it's going to come out to 900 whatever grams. Okay. So I'll need to add some more to this. When you get to your desired, you can, if you're doing this for the first time, you're going to follow the instructions on the can. You're going to put in a kilogram. I think it is a kilogram, and do your thing, and you're going to have a beer that's, in my experience, probably about 6%. But it could be, all depends on when you bottle. If I'm far in the process of fermenting, if it's almost completely done, which you don't want for beer, but if you waited too long, then you're going to have more alcohol content. Okay, and you're adding a bit of sugar to the priming process when you bottle, so you're going to end up with more. So that's my experience. You do you, right, Boo? So we are now down to acceptable range. So now I don't normally do this because I know my procedure comes out. I did add a little more sugar this time just because, remember, I had to add so many grams to come up to the 1,000, and I had like a little bit of sugar left over, so I said, well, why keep it? I just dumped it in. But now, when you take a reading, you try and get the bubbles out of this, right? You take a reading to begin with without the yeast in. And if you could see there, that yellow band below is with the beer range. So I'm just, at the top, which is a little more alcohol than what I normally, like I was explaining. But because I add the extra sugar, I put it in. So I'm about, that's going to give me about 4% alcohol, which is okay. When you take a reading, right, you see when it's bobbing up and down there, you see there's water will go up like a little mountain on that hydrometer. You want to take a reading just below the top ridge, because water will form a little ridge. To get real accurate, if you want to be crazy, go for just below the ridge. So now we're ready for the yeast. We got the temperature down to 20.6 or whatnot. That's acceptable. I usually give her a stir. Now, I tell you to sprinkle your yeast on top without stirring, but I always stir it. Maybe you can call me a rebel if you want. I certainly don't have a cause. All right. We'll sprinkle in the goodness. The money maker, the alcohol maker. Just sprinkle it in on there like that. You'll put your lid on. Put the lid on. I don't put it on really tight. You will see I snapped it down, but this section here will let air out. Hear that? When the pressure builds, as the yeast starts to do its job, this won't bulge out and spill all over and pop it off and put a hole in your ceiling. You know what I mean? So that's it. And you just put it, I puts it over by the wood stove in the winter. But you don't want it too hot, because you're going to get a weird taste. I call it esters, whatever you want to pronounce it. The chemical comes from the yeast when it's too hot and stuff like that. Even if you use the wrong sugars, it can cause the yeast to give off that weird. So you don't want it too hot. You don't want it too cold. You want to keep it, no more than, when I put it over there, she'll stay probably at 22. You don't want to go past 23, because you're kind of taking a risk. Sometimes it will get up. So it says 21 in the instructions, but I found if it stayed at 23, I've had no problems. So I'm just giving you information, right? So now it's time to take your turkey baster, fill this up. All sterilized, of course. Let me see if it's close. Try to get all this suds off. Okay. Get your hydrometer. You want to get the bubbles out. That just gives it a tap. Give it a spin. I can tell it's not ready because it's too many bubbles. Close. So you want it not touch anything, but I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so right. almost another a day or two. Because with beer, like I said in the previous video, part of the video, you don't want it zero fermentation because you want carbonation in beer. So when it's time to bottle your beer, when it's all to the right specification, the specific gravity should be right in that green zone, and it comes easy with this wand thing. As you see now, when I lift it up, it'll stop flowing. See? And then you just do that. You just continue doing that until you're finished. You should get about 66 bottles. All depends if you're using 500 mils. Obviously, that's common sense. 500 mils, you get less bottles than you do if it's 340 milliliter bottles. So you get the idea. But just continue doing this until you get them all filled up, and then we'll see you when it's time to do the priming. So when you're ready to prime, what you're going to do is you're going to take a half a teaspoon of corn sugar, and you're going to put it into the bottle and quickly put the cap on. If you're too slow, it's going to overflow, because as soon as that sugar hits the yeast, it goes berserk. You can put your corn sugar in some water and then have a syringe and put the appropriate milliliters in. Do it that way and you'll have more time, but good luck. Well, I don't know if you can see that.